Oh, hi, sorry. I was just studying some French flashcards in Brainscape while lifting this 1,000-pound kettlebell. You see, here at Brainscape, we realize that studying and exercising both tend to be our least favorite part of the day. So we've put together some creative ways to combine studying and exercising so that you can accomplish both of these important and tedious habits without actually taking any more time out of your day. I'm Andrew with Brainscape, an adaptive flashcard study app built on decades of proven cognitive science research into how we learn and perform better. And just like you, we all know how important exercise is to keep our brains alert and to help that knowledge we're studying actually stick. So I'm not going to sit here and bore you with more of that evidence about how great exercising is for your body and your brain health. We all know that. Instead, I'm going to get right into the list of ways to study while you exercise, or even the inverse, exercise while you study, so you can accomplish more out of every day. Tip number 1, study in between your sets at the gym. If you're sitting on a weight bench or doing a 2-minute child's pose in between yoga moves, just grab your book or your flashcards or your phone with Brainscape on it and knock out some quick review while you take those rests. Resist the pull of Instagram during those workout breaks. Because if you're studying in between, by the time you're done with your workout, all those breaks actually add up to a decent amount of study time. And the best part of all of this is that your workout breaks are naturally spaced out, which makes you more likely to remember the concepts than if you just crammed them all at once. The power of spaced repetition, right? So just remember, in advance of your workout, to have prepared some sort of bite-sized study materials so you can actually have something available to study in those short bursts in between sets. Since, after all, it's pretty hard to dive in and out of a textbook chapter in between your squats or deadlifts or something. And it just so happens that studying flashcards in Brainscape is a perfect format for those small breaks. It's super easy to just whip out your phone, press the study button right there on the home screen, and know that you are always going to be seeing exactly the right flashcard at the right time you need to review it based on the cognitive science into study intervals. So just prepare your digital flashcards in advance by either finding them on the Brainscape marketplace or even making them in a web browser or collaboratively with your classmates so that you can be prepared to make the most out of that workout break time without ever really having to think about, what am I going to study next? Because that mental friction is sometimes a big barrier to getting your studying done. Of course, not all study material is conducive to studying in those 1-minute breaks. You're not going to do a huge calculus problem or have a philosophy debate or crack the perpetual motion dilemma while you're sitting on a ThighMaster machine. But even if you are working on some big project or studying activity that does require longer periods of focus at a desk and doesn't really seem conducive to studying while you're doing it, that brings us to this tip number 2, which is actually the converse of tip number 1. Exercise during your study breaks. I'm not talking about running a mile every time you learn a Spanish verb conjugation or something, but maybe you could pop 20 air squats or 20 push-ups or hold a solid yoga chair pose or triangle pose to loosen up every time you hit some kind of a milestone in your homework. I promise this is so much more productive than just using your study breaks for one game of Cookie Cruncher Deluxe Plus that I promise you will inevitably turn into a rabbit hole of just 10 more games. And you'll both mess up your studying and your workout. Bonus of this method, by the way, a study in the Journal of Applied Research in Memory and Cognition showed that students who take quick exercise breaks while they're learning something perform significantly better on post-tests that evaluate how much that they had learned during their study sessions. So exercising on study breaks is not just efficient, it's science. Now, if you want to take it up a notch, you can even combine studying and exercising at the very same time, rather than just squeezing in a quick session during breaks. This probably isn't the most feasible for every type of workout or every type of studying, but let's say if you're going to be trudging along on the elliptical for half an hour, you might as well knock out some flashcards in the Brainscape app, which you can technically also do while watching those wholesome reruns of Real Housewives of Laguna, if you must. Either way, even if you don't have your hands and eyes available to focus on an app or a book or something like Brainscape, you can at least still make use of audio to study while you're on that treadmill or exercise bike or class. Like, you could even find YouTube lectures or podcasts about what you're studying to have playing in the background. Or you can even record your own voice reading your own study materials in advance so that you can go on a real bike ride or do some cross training or whatever and can absorb that knowledge just directly through your headphones while you're off to the races. And if you've even accomplished that, then you can go to the ultimate level of all. Once you're pretty comfortable with the material that you're studying, or you're pretty comfortable with all those flashcards in Brainscape, say you're at 80% confidence level in Brainscape, you can then use only your brain to study while you exercise without needing audio at all. This method is where you're basically mumbling to yourself every little fact you can remember about the subject, free association, just off of the top of your head. Say you're jogging and you're mentally delivering a fake lecture to somebody on all the steps of photosynthesis that you can remember and how they all work. It's like the icing on the cake that makes all of your studies really stick in your brain, especially if while you recite it, you pretend you're teaching someone else and simplifying the concept down to their basic level, which is sometimes called the Feynman technique, which we've covered in another video and article on the Brainscape Academy. And this all conforms to what I'm sure you've heard a million times. The best way to fully learn something is to try to teach it. That's where it becomes solidified. Just make sure to keep your mumbling at a low volume so that all the other people in the gym don't start to think you're concocting a manifesto to take over the world or something. If you like these study tips, please do check out all the other tips at the Brainscape Academy, which is not just for learning, but it's for building good habits, productivity, learning to focus, etc. Remember to try Brainscape's adaptive flashcard app to study if you haven't already, and keep going on your journey to improve your brain health and your habits in general. Because with your continued and relentless focus, you'll be able to rise to any challenge.